11 Notre Dame football players have entered the transfer portal since January of 2021. We're going to talk about all 11 of those players, players who have transferred into Notre Dame, potential new transfers. Quick disclaimer, we're recording this video on May 19th of 2021, so if you're watching this video in October or so, this might be outdated with potential new additions from the transfer portal or more players leaving Notre Dame, so just keep that in mind. First up is running back JAHMIR Smith. He entered the transfer portal on January 2nd, 2021. He announced in the October prior that he was stepping away from the football program to focus on his mental health, but would remain in classes to stay and graduate. He entered his name in the transfer portal the day after Notre Dame's season ended. Smith is from Sanford, North Carolina, and had 5 carries for 15 yards in Notre Dame's season opening win over Duke last fall, but he did not appear in any games after that. Smith was a 3-star recruit in the 2018 class and enrolled early. Smith has since transferred to Appalachian State. Next up is Colin Grunhard. He also entered the transfer portal on January 2nd, 2021. He's the son of former Notre Dame offensive lineman Tim Grunhard. Colin played 12 snaps on offense in 2020. He's originally from Kansas and will finish his career close to home playing for the Jayhawks. JAFAR Armstrong showed so much promise early in his Notre Dame career, but battled injuries and bounced between running back and receiver. He had 807 scrimmage yards from 2018 to 20 as a running back and receiver. Signed as a receiver, moved to running back. When he was healthy, he was a solid piece for that Notre Dame offense. Injuries derailed Armstrong's chance at lead back duties in 2019 and was not a factor in the 2020 backfield rotation after the first couple games. Armstrong also entered the transfer portal on January 2nd. He is a Missouri native and a 3-star recruit in the 2017 class. Armstrong was once a Missouri commitment, and he is transferring to Illinois and will play in the Big Ten. 3 transfers on January 2nd, and then the following day, January 3rd, cornerback Isaiah Rutherford hit the transfer portal. He only played in 3 games over 2 years. All 3 appearances were on special teams or in mop-up duty in 2020. Rutherford was the nation's number 110 recruit in 2019 and is from Sacramento, California. His transfer destination is Arizona, and he will be playing a little bit closer to home. This is definitely an interesting one, folks. Houston Griffith, safety for the Irish, entered the transfer portal on January 4th. He made 14 tackles in 12 games in 2020 as a backup to Sean Crawford and a sub-package player. Notre Dame defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman recruited Griffith to stay upon his January 8th hiring. He succeeded when Griffith withdrew his name from the transfer portal 2 weeks later. Griffith was Notre Dame's highest-ranked recruit in the 2018 class at number 43 and is expected to compete for a starting safety spot next to Kyle Hamilton. This was a big get for Notre Dame, having Griffith return to the team. There were a couple of transfer portal additions from Notre Dame on January 5th. First, Jack Lamb, a former top 100 recruit. He played in 214 special team snaps in 2020, the most of any Notre Dame player. He spent 2020 operating 4th on the Buck linebacker depth chart. The California native was the nation's number 70 recruit in the 2018 class. He will be playing closer to home with the Colorado Buffaloes. OVIE OGHOUFO also entered the transfer portal on January 5th. The Michigan native played 11 games in 2020 as the 3rd Viper defensive end. In 149 snaps, he had 10 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 passes broken up. Isaiah Foskey leaped him at that Viper position, and it seemed like OGHOUFO was going to be a backup once again this fall. OGHOUFO was a 3-star recruit in the 2018 class and ranked as the nation's number 40 outside linebacker. His transfer destination is Texas, where he will join former Irish safeties coach Terry Joseph. Notre Dame's next addition to the transfer portal was a month later on February 8th. Micah Jones did not catch a pass in 3 seasons with the Fighting Irish. Did appear on December 5th, 2020 Senior Day win over Syracuse and saw action in 4 games in 2019. Jones was a 4-star recruit and the nation's number 192 overall player in the 2018 cycle at Illinois. He will be a graduate transfer with 3 years of eligibility left, and his destination is Illinois State. On April 2nd, 2021, KENDALL ABDUR-RAHMAN entered the transfer portal. He played in 1 game over his 2 seasons at Notre Dame and did not record any stats. He bounced between receiver and running back, cross-training at the positions. He was a high school dual-threat quarterback and a two-time All-State selection. ABDUR-RAHMAN ran for 1,135 yards and 19 touchdowns as a senior. ABDUR-RAHMAN's transfer destination is Western Kentucky. And here's the one you guys have been waiting for, Jordan Johnson, the highest ranked player in Notre Dame's 2020 class, the former 5-star recruit. He played in just 2 games last fall during his true freshman season, totaling 26 snaps, and did not record a catch. Johnson worked mostly with the second team offense in spring practice, and in the spring game he was a starter for the blue team and was targeted once with no catches. This spring, whenever head coach Brian Kelly discussed the receiver room, he brought up the senior class as the keys to its 2021 success. That was a signal a Johnson breakout or ascent into the starting lineup may not be in store for 2021. 2 days after the spring game, Johnson announced he would seek a transfer, and he announced pretty quickly that his destination would be UCF down in Orlando, Florida. Last but certainly not least is DILLAN Gibbons, who entered the portal on May 6th. He played in 28 games for Notre Dame from 2017 to 2020. He appeared in 10 games in 2020, including a start at left guard against Syracuse December 5th. This spring, Gibbons worked mainly as the number 2 center behind Zeke Correll. He opened the spring taking first team reps at left guard, but did not appear there in subsequent practice videos Notre Dame provided or in the May 1st spring game. Gibbons is a 5th-year senior and a graduate transfer and will have 2 seasons of eligibility remaining. Notre Dame will see him this September in the opener as Gibbons transferred to Florida State. Let's talk about additions in from the transfer portal. Of course, Jack Cohn announced back in January that he would be joining the Fighting Irish. In starting all 14 games for Wisconsin in 2019, Cohn completed 236 of 339 attempts for 2,727 yards with 18 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He also added 4 rushing scores. Per Pro Football Focus, Cohn was at his best in 2019 when throwing between the numbers in the 10 to 20 yard range, completing 16 of 25 passes for 328 yards with 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. He also excelled throwing to the outside right past 20 yards, completing 8 of 11 passes for 243 yards with 4 scores and 1 pick. Notre Dame head coach Brian Kelly has not named a starting quarterback following spring ball, but all indications seem to be that Cohn is the heavy favorite heading into fall camp. Will Notre Dame add another player from the transfer portal? Certainly possible. Caleb Evans entered the transfer portal on May 11th, and Notre Dame offered him on May 17th. Evans is a 6'2", 188-pound corner and was a 4-year contributor at Tulsa in 23 starts. The McKinney, Texas native has 2 seasons of eligibility left. He took a medical redshirt in 2019, and of course 2020 did not count towards these players' eligibility. In 30 career games, Evans has 82 tackles, 11 pass breakups, but does not have an interception to his name just yet at the collegiate level. That's it for this video. What do you guys think about these 11 players transferring from Notre Dame and what Notre Dame is now doing in the transfer portal to add more immediate talent? Make sure you let us know in the comments section. Hit the thumbs up on this video, subscribe to our channel for more content, and of course, go to blueandgold.com for everything Notre Dame football.